He might have had a stomach bug. He might have had a stomach bug.
Nothing I can do about it.
Yes.
There's a bug going
He
around.
might be sick of something.
If you'd like, you all made the effort to come down, you could tell us what your feelings were, you came here for a reason. There must have been something that prompted the crowd we have.
I'm curious about the
Because for
survey.
about 4 years, there was nobody here. We
I
still
know,
didn't
it's good to see a
establish.
little crowd tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about the survey. Are there any questions available? Are you making the survey
No,
available
we actually
for
don't,
review?
and Diane had emailed me. I don't feel that it is appropriate to give out any of the questions that have not been approved. We're working on it, we're a working commission, and I feel that those have not been approved by the commission yet to be able to put out. We discussed them, I think that was on the video last week. I don't know where the video is.
Narayan was away for 2 weeks or so.
Last week, Kathy
Right,
recorded
but
it.
it's a whole chain of.
Okay, right, because it would have been on that, we discussed them and we reviewed them, so if you follow the minutes, you'll be able to see them on there.
Oh,
Can you
good.
say, can you say what the purpose of the survey was?
To get the, people's input
About,
on, the moving forward in Stafford, the vision of Stafford, you know, where do you wanna go with it? You know, there's three, as far as I can see, there's three commissions, the Planning and Zoning, the EDC, and the Conservation Commission are all important commissions as part of Stafford moving forward. And, getting people's input as to what they,
Yeah, what do you
they
think's
want.
missing from the town? What do you wanna see in the town?
And
Well,
have
what-
they been
what-
approached yet to help you guys with the
Well,
questions?
I thought we were at the all same meeting, when we had the joint meeting together, when we
Right.
were all talking
The one
about
up at the-
a vision, the one up at the community center. We talked about each, commission working on a vision of what they thought we were supposed to go forward in Stafford. And, come together and do a survey. We talked about their survey. It's not the EDC's responsibility. I believe there's three commissions that should have an input in it. It's not all one party.
how does this relate to the plan of conservation and development that was?
That was the document that was produced by all of the commissions that worked
Right.
together on that. If I'm not mistaken, Jim, you were involved in that as well.
Yeah.
So was the questions on the survey based around the letters that you received from the citizens going into that meeting when they held up and read all of our letters and things like that in the crowd? I mean, is that based on the surveys? Is that how the survey's based?
You guys held up questions?
We were told to send our Board of Selectmen questions.
I received emails
Right.
for the economic
This
development.
was
I have
going
not
on right after
received
the meeting
one.
when we were requested as citizens to email the first selectman's office, mail them in, and they were gonna take everybody's idea about Stafford. I think it was the same meeting when they brought in.
Was
the
that
new
something that the
dollar-
economic development
It was,
asked people to do? Because
but
I
it
don't
was
remember
supposed to be
approving
shared
that.
with every board. So, I mean, if that's, I mean, I guess the way they kinda sold it to people was that everybody was working together on this as a town, and I guess, me not being from here, I live here, I've been here 10 years, it's a little different for me to see that there's just like a lack of communication, nothing against you folks. But is that, so you wouldn't know what the letters, but basically it was, we wrote in letters basically based on what we thought we should see in Stafford. Whether, you know, it was like an artsy output, or input into the town as far as even what we saw economically for the town, what we envisioned our town being and becoming, and what could bring things to this town. And I think those questions, or those letters, if they weren't shared with you folks, is a huge, I don't know.
Yeah, so
I never saw.
Yeah, that's-
It wasn't the direction.
was it an email or actually handwritten?
No, it was when we were all in the meeting up there at the,
Senior center?
at the senior center, and everybody wanted, even Richard Shuck, write letters, and everybody wrote all these letters, and some members even read some of the letters aloud about what people thought from the Economic Commission. These letters were supposed to be shared with everybody that's involved in the decision-making in our town. And I know there's independent boards, you know, I get that kind of thing, but I would think if we're talking about Stafford Springs, you named the Plan and Zoning Commission and the three committees that are chosen to dictate or try to do good for the Stafford's future. I don't know, I'm just kind of disheartened on that whole thing, because I'm hoping that the surveys are based around what people kind of suggested and based on, and not maybe on another side. Because I mean, do you folks even influence or have any control with the Plan and Zoning Commission Because I would think economically trying to drive business in, it would be hand in hand with what they have to approve for square footage and businesses and appeals and things like that, right?
Absolutely. That's the
Okay.
planning and zoning.
And they got the letters. No, I know what it is. But I mean, and they got the letters, so I guess I just kinda,
Did the planning and zoning get the letters?
We did get a bunch of letters.
Okay, because that was never shared with the EDC.
Nancy was reading those? Is that what it is?
right, yes, sir, that's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Planning and zoning meeting.
They did, this room was completely packed, there were people down the hallways, and it was nuts.
Yeah, it was never shared with the EDC
Okay.
commission,
No,
so
that's
I
fine.
apologize for that.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not your fault, I mean, thanks for asking the question, sure enough, they don't even have to sit here and answer our questions or do this for us, so. No, like I said, my feelings aren't with you folks, cause you folks are here doing what you said you would do, so that's why I did sincerely thank you guys.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to attack you, I'm sorry, I'm just a little kinda
Not at
hurt and
all,
upset
I
about
don't feel
that.
attacked. I
Yeah.
give up my time here too, so.
Right, no, but thank you folks anyway.
No.
Thanks for writing the letters.
I have a question, without getting into the details of the survey. Is it, is it more qualitative information you're seeking, or more quantitative information you're seeking? Qualitative being,
There was a lot of,
rank it 1 through 5, or quantitative, quantitative being rank it 1 through 5, or qualitative being, what do you think about sort of free response?
it was more leaning towards quantitative, there's definitely a lot of
Okay.
scale-based questions, I would
Okay.
say.
Mhm.
But, we're still, it was rough draft,
Right,
where
sure,
we're
sure.
at. But,
It was a beginning, and then
Yeah. Any idea what you plan to do with the data that's generated, or?
I believe they wanted to look into a professional company to do it.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
But
Hire
I
a
felt it
statistician.
was good for the EDC.
Good
and
plan.
that's what I thought, and planning and zoning
Statistics
had
are
been
hairy.
what, and for all commissions, everybody looks at it in a different way. You know, economic development would look at it in one light, and planning and zoning would look at it in another,
Of course.
and conservation would look at it in another light. So and that's why it's all important, you know, to have all three of them putting in that information.
Thank you.
Peter, you had mentioned like a survey you had seen in Hamden, Connecticut at some point. Were you able to find that? And
Was Mind Mixer, so I'm still talking to that gentleman, we received something else from, the first selectman. So I don't, I was hoping to discuss it tonight, but we'll have to save that for the next meeting.
Could I ask a question? I
Certainly.
came in a little late. It seems to me that one of the members of the board is extremely biased, and that's the person that you put in charge of doing the survey. Will there be an oversight on the way he words the questions? I thought Lori did a very nice job when she was doing it. It was pretty open-ended, and it led people to give their honest opinions. My concern is that when you get the survey back, it's not gonna look anything like it was written previously. It'll be very leaning towards a certain outcome. Will all of you have a input on changing that back to
The
the
whole
way?
commission has to approve them, I would
Yeah,
think,
that's
it's
not gonna
not
be a
just one.
Okay, because I really have a concern that it'll come back extremely biased.
Who's gonna get the survey?
Who's gonna get the survey?
Everybody in Stafford, or just a limited number of people?
I believe every household would be, you
Yeah.
know, any
Okay.
taxpayer. You know, would
I didn't know if it would be
to-
limited to like, all right, 2,000 people get the survey, or anything
No.
like that.
So,
If we use like an
No,
outside
that's-
company, it's really, they use it like one per household. So, if it's an online survey, it'll be like one IP address per survey, that's kind of how they do it. So,
and the first selectman is going to be doing that, so.
Okay, I have another question in a completely different direction. It was brought to my attention that the town received a grant for $300,000 or $500,000 for the revitalization of Main Street Stafford in the downtown area, and the town didn't know about it, and now the time is running out. When is that time up, and what were the basics of that, seeing that would be something that the businesses and the empty buildings and the owners of those properties may wish to use to redo their buildings and to make them viable businesses?
That is in the hands of the first selectman's office.
Do we know when that grant will go back to the state of Connecticut?
No, from what I understand, there was a few towns that had happened to.
Okay, where do we look to find out that information?
The first selectman's office.
And was it 300,000 or 500,000?
I believe it was 430.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure what the purpose of that was for, if it was earmarked to do one specific thing. It could have been the electrical line, the poles, it could have been a number of things that it was earmarked for, I'm not sure.
Is that all written down in public
I don't
information?
have any information on it, so I don't know.
Because it would certainly be something that would be a boon to the development of the economics in
Absolutely.
Stafford. And
Absolutely.
I know that you have pretty good thought process on that
Yep.
anyways.
And Kurt is in there, Kurt Bale, he's working with us too on that. So
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm trying to find the agenda for tonight, but I thought there was something on it that said, now you guys already approved at the last meeting, sending the raising of the cap from 40 to 110, but it sort of looked like it on the agenda that it was coming up again tonight. What's,
Right, because the reason for approval of the finalized application, each member was supposed to look at the letter
okay,
that was going to be attached to it and the application.
okay. And then, so you probably don't know this, but you don't know when you're gonna meet next, so is that gonna go
weeks.
before so is it gonna go before zoning on the 14th, or is it gonna have to wait now because you're not all
You
here?
have to wait now, it's not approved.
Okay, all right, thanks. I'm done.
What do y'all envision Stafford? Y'all live here, right? How do y'all envision Stafford being?
I think actually a lot of us probably on the same page, you know, arts and culture hub. I was at a downtown meeting a while ago, you know, talk about mini Northampton. It's kind of idealistic, but you can be realistic as well. I love the strong downtown. I think the rest of town really thrives off of a strong downtown. This is just all personal too, by the way. And just, you know, more little niche shops on Main Street and, you know, place to work and live. So, but also a place that I can go, and if I need to get something from a general store, I don't need to go to Enfield.
Right.
So,
Would you say that you guys are pushing for those kind of things to happen?
this
No,
is
no,
my-
no, this is personal thought.
Yeah,
This is
but
a-
I'm curious.
Oh.
This
I'm
is
just
some-
saying,
This is something that that I think about a lot. I think me and you are probably close to the same age, so I think about this type of stuff all
Yeah.
the time. I
I
just said
think
to
a
her,
lot of people have the same idea.
And
And
I
nobody
def-
wants to see this town as a strip mall city. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants Enfield. Nobody wants a Manchester.
well, I think that's what was the most frustrating when you see something like that CVS come in.
Right.
You know.
I mean, everyone has different opinions on that.
Yeah.
I'm personally okay with it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too.
Why are you guys okay with it? Just out of curiosity.
This is me. I'm not saying
Well,
anyone
they
else
also
is
said
okay
it as well.
Personally, I think the building looks good.
Yeah.
I think it looks a
It's
lot
better
better
than
than
it
what we
could have
had
been.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying it's, you know,
That's
I
my
want,
meat.
I want 20, you know, pharmacies in town, but I think it looks good. I think they did a nice job. Planning and zoning made a nice looking building.
Okay.
This is my first meeting, by the way, tonight, guys, so
Sure.
I've gotta get caught up.
Mine too,
Bear
so,
with me, okay?
yeah.
But
I guess for me, I think a lot of people in Stafford, I think that the frustrating thing about that was just that we already got pharmacies. So it's, I mean, how many do you really
The
need?
thing is, the town doesn't really actually
Sure.
pick, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, Gene, when the contractor went in there,
Yeah,
they design a building,
yeah,
and then a company comes in to rent the building from them.
yeah.
So it's not the town that goes out there
Yeah,
saying, yeah,
no,
we
I-
want a CVS here.
But-
It's the business that chooses to come to Stafford.
But you don't have any say then?
No.
No, not really.
No, you know, I'm also in the budget process too
Yeah.
with the town.
Okay.
And last year, it took us 5 referendums to get a budget to pass, because nobody wants their taxes increased.
What about now?
You can raise
Before you-
mine.
And-
Before you ask
Go ahead.
another question, let me just make a comment. I'm Gene Julian, and I'm on the zoning board. Town has some influence on what gets built in town,
Yep. That's what I
what
assumed.
gets done. I mean, you can't tell the business what they're gonna do,
Yep.
but you have some influence. This committee could influence what property is used and how, and the town can. If a company comes into a zoning board, a contractor comes in, and they're following the rules, you can push them a little, you can change the building a little, you can't really tell them what the tenant's gonna be. But town has some power in that regard. The Board of Selectmen, Economic Development Commission, you have some influence. I mean, if a company was,
And planning and zoning as well.
to some degree, yeah.
I mean,
If
everybody
you're,
does. Right.
by the time it comes to us, it's kind of decided. They've spent a lot of money and they've made some decisions. But let's say a theoretical company was coming to town or thinking about coming to town. And they maybe talked to the first selectman or your commission, and you could then say, ha, we've got some great empty buildings that might suit what you want. These are the costs, and we'll help you. We prefer that over building new, maybe, depending on what the town wants. So in the early stages, you can have some influence. Later on, it's tougher. By the time what often happens on the zoning board, if a company comes in, they've spent tens of thousands of dollars already. A lot of work is put into it, even their very first meeting. At that point in time, you can steer them and move them a little bit, but not as much. If you catch them before they've made any decisions, you can do a little more. You're still right, are constrained to some degree, of course. But I just wanted to throw that out.
No, I appreciate that, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
My-
No,
My name?
I know your name, Gene. I'm talking to the young man.
Oh, you? Hey, Ed.
Peter Rhines. Peter Rhines?
Peter Ryan.
Yeah.
So, you answered that last question remarkably in thinking, same line I am, working in town and living in town, absolutely where we need to go as a town.
You should tell them who you are, Ed.
I'm Ed Burrice, Stewart,
Historical?
Historical Society. I'm not an officer of the Historical Society anymore, just a member. You mentioned Northampton, love Northampton, love going to Northampton.
Yeah.
One of the fantastic things about like Northampton and Putnam and a lot of the little towns, like I worked out in Newport doing commercial and residential property development out there. The things that those places have is not only the work, but also schools. They have like colleges that attract a lot of money. There was some discussion, a bunch of us were talking about City of Troy. City of Troy, New York has RPI, Russell Sage, colleges, educational institutions that attract people. UConn is 20 minutes away, it's not here in town, so we're on the fringes of their influence. So without a large educational institution that's bringing in people with lots of money here, and no technology base, so to speak, a few factories, but that's not technology based, that's not professional, that's blue collar. I'm talking white collar development that attracts, 1,000 jobs, 10,000 jobs. That's gonna bring people to actually have the money to spend at these businesses. Where are we going? If you can build all the pretty little CVS's you want, and I'm sorry, Ronnie, I cannot agree that building's attractive for Main
It's
Street
alright.
Stafford. But to each his own. I can see why some people would personally. Yeah, we're airing opinions. I think it's hideous for Main Street Stafford, but that's just me.
But hey, does Northampton, Mass have a CVS?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Northampton is.
They have a
is
big Y.
Yeah, Northampton has some really, really great stuff going for it, and I love going there. It's a place, I will leave here and drive 45 minutes an hour to go there.
Yeah.
If that stuff was here, I wouldn't have. We got a great sushi place and some really cool little bookstores and, places like that. I would love to go to those places right here and walk there. I mean, I can walk here, I can walk to anything on Main Street. It's great. It's why I don't move up to Stafford Street, because I like to walk down here. But if we don't have a way to actually bring a significant number of earners, wage earners, to this town, we're not gonna find a way to bring people in from outside. The UConn's been there for 100 years, and it's not bringing hordes of people to Stafford Springs. So I would, if I can say one thing and then walk out of the room, it would be, we have got to find a way to create place here for those wage earners, occupations for them, professional technology park, something along the lines of, architecture, engineering, Google, right? Waltham, Mass, I have friends who work for Google, live there in Waltham. It's an hour's drive away. And they're astonished when they find out how little it costs to live here, 1 hour away. Adding an hour to their commute is nothing. They would gladly add an hour to their commute for a 90% cost of living reduction compared to Boston. We gotta hype that we are in that circle of commutability to the Boston area at a tiny fraction of their the cost of living expenses. That's the kind of stuff we need to do. If I hear the words economic development, I'm thinking, what can we do to promote ourselves? So,
And green
thanks for listening to me.
and green industry.
Good input.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, my
Very
name's
good.
Roger Engel, I agree with Ed. I'm not sure where we stand with industrial park and that scheme we had for a few years, but I'm scared because, Aubuchon is gonna take over, first school building. The Family Dollar is gonna move in next to the, auto store, and then the Maple Grove is gonna get torn down for Dollar General. I'm seeing these box stores are just like heading right toward downtown, and CVS represents like the total penetration of downtown with this, so it's kind of scary that we're not seeing other sorts of stuff. So I'm just kind of worried and upset. That's why I want to kind of get involved in trying to help this town in a good direction. We've got other stuff going on. We have an incredible music program that's been developed at Stafford Open Mic, which right now was playing at the tavern, and now it's playing out at Sun Valley, but it's the arts, and it's really, a lot of people think it's the best open mic they've ever been to anywhere. And that's right here in Stafford. It's awesome. We've also just started a photography group which meets at Lisa's, 3 Graces now, and we'll have another one. So that's gonna start to enhance the photographic arts part of the town. I'm involved in that.
Arts on Main.
Arts on Main will be enhanced by these things. So that's the force in the other direction. Maybe we could find a way to persuade David to put a screen in the palace so we could actually have movies as well. My son and I have set up movies, and Steve Munn, by bringing in a portable screen a couple of times, and we've shown the locally made movies in it. But we could add that, and that would become an attraction for bringing people to come in as well. So by bringing more music into the town, in the case of open mic, it's free, that's the beauty of it. Palace has $20 a head to go in there, but that still brings a lot of people in.
Blues Fest.
They're meeting tonight.
So that's all economic development, so how do we leverage that stuff as well? Put that into the mix of what you guys are working on and what we're all working on to make this town the kind of place that we're referring to.
Right, one really positive thing is the Blues Fest. With, I don't know if everyone knows about the amphitheater, where you want to.
Got a $10,000 grant on that. We've got a design which is $37,000. So the $10,000, the grant, we got a balance of $27,000. So
That you need to pay?
that we need
To
to
build an
come up with to
amphitheater?
finish building
Can you
the
use
Y'all
part of
need
that
to-
430?
Hmm?
Can you use part of that
Well,
430?
we have to see where it's earmarked, what that's for. It could, that very possibly could have been applied for the utility lines to get rid of them on Main Street. I'm not sure, but, I mean, 10,000, we're that much closer than we were 2 years ago. So you start where you can go, with it. But it's a beginning. We're on our 3rd Blues Fest for this summer, so.
And the actual
And
town
I
of
expect to
Stafford
see
owns the
every
whole
face
thing?
down there that's sitting here tonight, so you can support it.
Well, I have
But
a
it's-
question pertaining to the amphitheater coming in, the park being a central location, and the arts going on in town, and we're trying to develop that because it'll bring in money, and then bringing in Ed's idea of, we're not really capitalizing on UConn. Why is the Witt School staying empty, and why does everybody arguing over what to do with that before the walls fall down and it's uninhabitable? Why can't you solicit a college, an art school itself to come in that has theater and music and arts and professors and their parents and
Can you sell it to the public?
But you've had contact with the college about the Wood School, correct? You know, talk about it. there's,
The dental store, but, you know, saying.
this town has a lot of,
Oh, I wasn't sure.
this town has a lot of problems right now, I mean, serious problems. We've got one of the highest tax rates in the area, we're higher than every town around. We also have one of the lowest household median incomes in town county. And what I see happening is what Roger's worried about, is that we're facing, bringing in low-paying businesses is not the answer to solving this problem. It's not gonna raise people's wages. It's matter of fact, it's gonna perpetuate our problem because those kind of businesses that we're bringing in are the type of businesses that pay poverty wages, and that's what you get. When you pay those wages, it's more poverty. We have to do other things like Ed was talking about, Roger was talking about. We have to go a different way. And one of the ways that I suggested 2 years ago, when I ran for first selectman, was to bring in the community college. Now, I had several conversations with people at Asnuntuck, and they were extremely interested. They, as a matter of fact, I always put it to this way, they were chomping at the bit. The last meeting I had with them, when I walked out the door, just before the election, I said, it looks like we're in agreement. All we have to do is cross the i's and dot the t's, or other way around. But all we have to do is settle how we're going to get this financed. And they said, let's work on that, let's get that done, let's see what we can do with that. And then, boom, got dropped. And that's where we are right now with it. And the proposal was to put that in the WIT school. And they already knew about the WIT school when we were talking to them. They knew about it. One of the guys that I was talking to knew exactly where it was, he knew exactly what the building was, he knew the approximate size of it, for God's sakes. And that plane just got dropped.
There was also, I think, I'm not sure, there's one, twice or three times it went to a referendum about the projects, an industrial park, the renovating of the middle school and the fire department, and it was voted down. The townspeople voted it down.
It was voted down.
Not once, not twice, but I think three times.
It
I
was
think
voted
went
down,
through.
but
Yeah.
part of the problem with it being voted down was the way it was presented. And it was, the last time it was done, it was presented in my point of view, it was an excellent time to do it because the money was so cheap.
Rates were low.
And, but it was all put it together in one bond package. And people were not willing to go along with, the bond package was, if I remember right, $11 million. And so people weren't ready to go along with $11 million just after the 2008 crash on Wall Street. And so it crashed and burned in big time.
And also, last year's budget referendum, took 5 referendums to pass a budget. The third time it went out in a referendum, it went out with a 0 mill rate. It went out with a 0. We gave, there was no, and it still was defeated. And then we went back again with a little bit less and it got defeated. And the 5th time we went back out there and we didn't change a thing, it finally got approved. So I'm not sure as to what message is coming through. You can't go forward when your hands are tied. And if you're not willing to put up a little bit of money in any respect, whether it's an industrial park, to have those high-tech businesses, you're gonna have to put out a little bit of money in order to grow in the right direction.
That's exactly right. I mean, nobody in
gonna
this
have
room
to
has
do
a
it.
401k that they didn't invest in. And if you don't invest, you're never going to get anything out. I think that when Mike Kroll did this with, he wanted the firehouse, he wanted to renovate the WIT school.
And there were businesses waiting to get into the industrial park.
I think the problem was that they were all lumped together though. I think maybe some of them would have had a better chance if they were done separately, you know? Although, I understand the reasons why they were done together. That they wanted to get it all into one
Financing.
bond.
Yeah.
The more you bond, the cheaper the money is,
And
but
then the town
if-
hall would have been
in
up
the
in the
end,
WIT
if you don't
school
get anything, what was the effort for?
with the Board of Ed buildings.
The other thing that happened during that period of time is that there were a series of, I think there were, 5 meetings around town?
Yep.
Yeah, and I went to every single one of them. And there were some at the West Stafford Fire Department, the Staffordville Fire Department, Community Center, all over the place. What I noticed when I went there was that there were about 60 people that went to each one of those meetings. 60 people. How many people do we have on our voting rolls?
On our
Yeah.
payroll, 81 for the town, 300 and something for the Board of Ed.
I mean, 60 people show up at the meeting, and it's gonna tell them, and try to inform them what they wanted to get done in town.
You know how many people show up for the budget?
The-
2.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, that what happened was, that it was almost always the same 60 people. Went to all the meetings. Nobody new went from West Stafford, nobody new went from Stafford Hollow, or Staffordville. They were all the same people. There were maybe 10 people in each meeting that were different from the other one. So, the problem with getting
You
something
look at
done
an
is
EDC commission and you expect them to do
is
things.
marketing it
We've got
correctly.
townspeople that aren't willing to come up to it either. You know,
Gotta
it's
get
not
people
one
involved.
commission that's gonna make a difference.
You
You
got
know,
townspeople
it
that are
has to
working.
take the townspeople working together. And
Yeah.
this is what's wonderful about Stafford, is it's run on a volunteer. People volunteer their services here in this town. Every commission that's here is run by people that volunteer to do the little leagues, to get them off, the football leagues. But we're gonna have to put money out in order to get the things that everybody's looking for.
But you have people
We
that
need
are
to
working
get
3
involved.
jobs, you've got people with little kids
Yeah.
that they can't leave at home. So, I mean, I've heard that statement said that the people don't come out for years, when I was more involved in the budget discussions years past. And I've stepped back because I'm working a full-time job, half-hour away, because there's nowhere to work here in town at the wages that I make. I have a company of my own that I'm not working at right now, so I can be here. It's my son's 9th birthday that I'm not there with him right now, so I can be here for this. So, I hear what you're saying, but there's a damn good reason that people don't come to these things sometimes.
There's a lot of people. It's 12,000 people in Stafford.
When most of them have 3 jobs to try to make the pittance, that the town would like to see taxed at the rate that it's taxing, it costs a great deal of time for people to manage to put out what few drops of blood they can manage in order for the town to collect the tax revenue. We're a poor town. You've answered your own question.
I've done the
You
same
cannot
thing.
possibly hold the people accountable when they're simply trying to keep up with the mill rate. Why in the hell did you
I'm
people
just
get
gonna say one
taxed?
thing, you know,
Get
I have
pay
a home,
increases.
and I worked how many jobs? You just asked me. How many jobs I worked?
3 jobs.
I worked for Board of Finance, and I worked for Economic Development, and I'm the Hyde Park Chairman.
That's
I-
terrific.
You know, I have a
understand
tough
that.
time when somebody comes to me and they say, you know, well, we couldn't pay our taxes. My response is get another job,
Yeah, well, they
because
have.
that's what I did.
They have, and that's where they are.
But
But
I
I'm
read
still-
through all
You
the
wanna know where they
vacancies.
were, I'm
Sorry,
telling
sorry.
you where they
You know,
are.
and I wanna say one other thing, everyone's bitching about CVS. Well, you want tax base, you've gotta have,
Yep.
you gotta have business in
Yeah,
town,
but
you
how
guys.
much tax does
That's
that
not
actually?
Well,
enough.
come on, guys.
It's
Come
not
on.
enough.
Let's face reality, we need business in
Let's,
town.
okay.
I'd love
let's-
to pick and choose every business
Okay.
that comes in, but you can't sometimes.
But let's face reality. We've got
You just
a
emptied
high,
the-
we've got a
the
high
bacon
green
eggs
profile.
already.
in
I
this
don't
town.
care, I don't
Thank you,
care.
Butch.
I have a big, strong back, I can
For
take it.
bringing the green
I don't care.
profile to this town. You worked very hard on that.
See, I think,
We have a green profile. Why isn't the Economic Development Commission sending people out to court green industry?
You don't know
Tell
that
'em
that's
about
not
the town.
happening. You do not know
I
that.
do know. They
Well,
told
We've
me.
got new
I
board
beg to
members,
differ.
you know, everyone's got different ideas, give us some time, you know? My first meeting tonight.
You know,
But I mean,
it's just-
CVS
I am
is
not
not
afraid to
the
go out and talk to
answer.
businesses, I'm a business owner in town. I will
CVS
go out
is
there and talk to
abandoned.
people. Kathy knows, right Kathy? You know I'll get it done.
Look,
I will get it done, you know.
Courting green
Give me some
businesses,
time.
that's the first I've heard about that, and I've been on this commission a lot of years, you know, like, that's a great idea. At the end of the day, we're 4 or 5 members that are all here on a volunteer basis, and it's like, I'd love to dedicate more time to this too, but I can't with an 18-month-old at home, you know,
I
I just
understand.
can't. I mean, that's a great idea, but I had never heard that idea before, like, I wish you had come
But
to
there
a
are
meeting or
paid,
something.
there are paid positions that might be enlisted to try to go out and reach out to these people and
Yeah.
report back
There's a
to
lot of
the Economic
dynamics that goes
Development
with
Commission.
that, and there
No, and I
has
respect
been
your opinion
efforts
too,
to
you know,
reach out.
everyone here, you know, I'm not trying to argue.
No, no,
I
no,
respect that your passion, I like that,
And
I love that, you know?
And I kind of
And I'm
like the idea that you've got a firm fix on CVS and that.
No,
because
it's
I
not about,
happen to-
it's not really about
But
CVS,
let
it's
me-
just,
let
we
me-
need a few businesses in
Let me
town.
just say, I happen
And I
to think,
respect that,
I
you know,
happen to
what your
think you're
opinion.
right, that there is a place for CVS, that kind of, there
Yeah.
is definitely a place for that in the pecking order.
Yeah, I
There's
just
a
don't want it
place-
to intrude on Main Street though either,
If
you know,
there's
I
a
love
place,
the
right,
arts.
if
Kathy,
there's
you
a
know, I
place
love
in
your, I
Northampton,
love Kathy's shop, Mike Smith's one of my best friends, I love the arts, trust me.
right,
I
but
just
if
have a
there's a
question.
place in
You know,
Northampton
I
for
love the
CVS,
arts.
there's a place in
Ken,
Brattleboro.
I have a question for you real quick. My name's Jason Fox, by the way. Some of y'all know who I am, some of y'all don't. I tend to run my mouth and don't wait, but, so how do you feel about the new liquor store that's gonna be built in CVS? You happy about that? I'm not trying to poke fun at you, I'm asking you a serious question.
You're talking about the one that's
That's
proposed
what
for the
they're,
building,
that's what they're gonna put there, is a liquor store.
the building next to it.
To CVS, how do you feel about that? The reason why I ask, you don't have to
My
answer,
chief-
is because I hear everybody, I go onto all the social media, everybody bitches about CVS. You know what, I don't like box stores either, so since I don't like them, I don't fucking spend my money there. You see what I'm saying? No, I'm just telling you, man. And sorry, no disrespect here. Don't spend your money on it. We need a tax base here. I pay a shitload of money to this town. Excuse me, Melissa pays a shitload of money to this town for taxes. I'm just telling you, okay?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we need a little bit. I understand. I don't want Walmart here, man. I fought Dollar General. Blah, I'm right with you. But nobody's bitching about liquor stores. I'm almost thinking, I'm living in Georgia, man. We get one or two more of them, you put a drive-through window in, all I need is a
You
cup.
can only have four though.
Well, I have.
So, but that's what I'm saying.
We're gonna limit,
I have meters.
4
Right.
minutes each person.
No, that's fine.
You
I'm
can
just
only
gonna
have
make
4
my-
liquor stores or something, right, Gene? What's the rule?
It's based on the per capita of each town, Connecticut's.
All right.
Right, but my point is, I mean, you're gonna get more revenue paid through taxes at a pharmacy than you are a liquor store.
No.
You are. So the tax base is there for
My
that.
concern with the liquor store has to do with location to begin
So it
with.
could reopen.
Right.
It's too close to a church.
You gotta have something to preach about
Just a
trying to
few
drink.
minutes.
That's the reason why nobody's
I'm just
talking.
saying it's
Move
too
on,
close.
so I can go home and have a life too.
Yeah, no, but anyway, I just wanna make it real quick. All I'm gonna say, cause I'm about to leave, I have somewhere I
Okay.
gotta go. Thank y'all for showing up. I like that y'all were honest, at least with me sitting here, and your opinions, and I know y'all have a job to do.
Yep.
But I think the main problem that I've heard since I've been coming to this town since '93, and I've lived here for 10 years, and why you don't get people out and get people encouraged, I think there's just a severe mistrust with the people that hold positions here, even though it's on a voluntary basis, and even the ones that are paid. Y'all clearly like what y'all do. That shows by the number of people that y'all have that are supposed to be here tonight, including one that left. So thank you. I know y'all take it serious. So hopefully, with new members coming on, maybe you can influence some of the older ones to kind of change their ways, so you can get the people that's lived in this town, like my in-laws for, what, 60-something years, to kind of trust the people here, because everybody knows, I mean, shit, I've been here 10 years. The town politics here have been pretty bad. They've probably been better as of recent years, but y'all know y'all all from here, and I know I am telling stories. So you guys know that. So hopefully, with new faces and new ideas, y'all folks will do a little bit better than the people in the past. And as long as you show the people out here that live in this town that, you might get a few more asses in the seat.
Actually, it's a welcome to see people
Yeah.
sitting out there. I've been coming to the EDC committee as a recording secretary, and then I became a member, and I was here for 3-4 years, and there's nobody that comes, nobody, no involvement. So for you people to come here, it's a blessing.
I think there needs another female voice on there at the committee along with you, though, you know, I think you're overstacked on the guy side. It's too bad. I don't have any economic education whatsoever. I just wanted to play house in a store for a while, and I'm having a great time. That's my education in running a business. I certainly have no education. And I think that you need to know what the heck you're doing. That's why I certainly wouldn't put my name on this board, because I just don't have the education for it. I just want to play. Have fun.
And can I make one quick point? That I looked through the whole website for all the vacancies in town. I have a list. It's not updated, actually. It needs to be updated. But you're carrying like 3 different things on these commissions, and there needs to be some new blood. I mean, I don't know how many you're on, Peter. 3. So, I mean, there's applications that you can put in. They have a thing right on the website that's asking for applications. So go through that site, check in with Beth, check in with Lori, see if there's some place that you can fill a gap in the town and because you shouldn't be on that many commissions, and I know, like, I've seen like 4 or 5 names that get repeated through that whole list, and I'm thinking, then they're going to WPCA, they're going to this park thing, they're going to this, probably 5 meetings a week, so if we can pick up some of that slack, and that would be really great, so, you know, take that initiative.
But if they're going to all the meetings, then they're not considered vacancies, are they?
Well, there still might be 2 or 3 vacancies on that thing, but again, I think in order for new people to come in, some people have to say, you know, I'm on these 3 commissions, I'm gonna give up one and see if we can find somebody else, or you know, send out an email to that listserv that we have in town and say, these are the vacancies right now, and I know Ellington would publish it in the paper. They would actually put in an ad that said, this is what the vacancies are, this is how you get the application. And I've shown that to the Board of Selectmen, but.
Kind of wanted to go back just to the CVS thing, only because I'm thinking now across the street from Baker's. I'm sure that there are people here that are kind of concerned what's going to happen with that. It's an expensive property. Personally, I had a feeling that I thought that if the people that ran the Stafford Tavern could swing that somehow, that would be a perfect spot for them to go to. I don't think that's an option for them, unfortunately. And they're going through some things right now, I think, with Dave, so I think they're kind of tied up in what they can and can't do. What would you guys like to see happen with that spot? Because, you know, one of my things is, I don't know if it was ever like something that could have happened over at where CVS is now, but I always kind of
We have to
believed.
understand, why did it close?
What's that?
Is it because it was a lack of business?
No, they just decided they were just
Wanted to stop?
done with it. They knew they could cash in.
I know Friedrichs did because she's retiring, so it's not like, I mean, everybody
They
points
had
at
that
the
list-
town that says,
Oh,
oh, it's
we
your
had-
fault, it's closing, but it's not.
No, I-
Oh, we don't. Yeah, I'm not saying
No,
that.
no,
I'm just.
no,
I'm
no,
nobody.
I can't
I'm
even
curious
know
just
that.
because it's gonna be an open
Absolutely.
Good
spot.
question, though, good
From
question.
under
It's a
270
beautiful
years,
property.
they could-
I've been thinking
Yeah.
about it quite a
That's a
bit.
good run.
Bad,
I mean, I'd love to see a restaurant there,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Red bed and breakfast, high-end
Right,
banquet
sure you would fit
facility.
Nice
What could go in there?
restaurant.
Yeah.
Right, I had also heard a B&B, that'd be really nice,
Yeah.
just
Now,
who would stay
now,
there right
what
now, I
will,
don't
what
know.
will the tip, now, will you encourage Walgreens to look at this building?
We don't want that.
Personally?
Across the
Just
street from
curious.
CVS?
No, I personally wouldn't, no.
Walgreens already turned down the opportunity to be where CVS is,
Okay.
so Walgreens is not coming to that.
Out of curiosity, did a place like Trader Joe's ever turn that spot down?
Not,
I don't
we don't
know.
have enough population.
We don't have the
anything like
population
that.
for
We don't-
Trader
we're not-
Joe's.
Not even for
Really?
Aldi or anything like that,
No.
we do not have
Yeah,
the
unfortunately.
population. 15,000 is the threshold for a lot of.
Because
businesses.
what I had thought was like,
Don't have that.
you know, it's the kind of place like a Trader Joe's. We might not have the population, but just the surrounding areas that would come in because it's so far away from anything else. That could have brought people into town, traffic downtown.
Yeah, there were some inquiries made to some grocery stores.
There was, Aldi's was in contact, Geisler's has been in contact, there's been plenty of places, people are
I think
trying.
Amish was coming in here, it's gonna be a good thing.
Yep.
I've heard some
I
things
think
about
that's
Bacchus, but I can't mention that, but there's a couple.
And I see that,
Place there.
I see that the plaza is up for sale behind that, they wanted to put low-income housing
Oh,
in.
Jason, I was swearing.
I mean,
And, that's for sale,
what is?
that, where behind Colossals.
I think it was rezoned, was it not, or is?
Not completed yet.
It
It's
is.
into Creek,
Right,
right, and then it comes back for a public hearing,
correct.
right. So I would believe that it would pass
Where
with this changes.
What does that be?
I would think so.
Industrial, what was it?
Do you mind explaining that
Industrial
real quick? Just-
Business, yeah.
Industrial business.
Thank you.
So why are you raising the cap then to 110 if we can't get an Aldi's or a Trader Joe's, which are smaller stores anyway, to get a grocery store in here if we can't get an Aldi's and a Trader Joe's? What was the
Is that
purpose
the
of?
only choices we have?
No, but
What's
if
the
an
rationale?
What about
Aldi's and a Trader
Geisler's?
Joe's is
What
a,
about Geisler's? Geisler's in
But if they're
Summers
too
is 65,000 square feet.
that's not my point. Peter said the population in town is too small for those for Aldi's or Trader Joe's. So why is our population with a big Y in town any bigger for Geisler's? That's my question. So
Well,
you're
I'm
raising the
saying
cap to put in a
Raising the cap is not just particularly for a grocery store.
okay.
We're not just saying we're raising.
Because
this
when you
cap
brought
because
in
it
the
could be for
plans, they were all for
grocery
a another grocery store. That was the.
Well, I
And-
thought the industrial was already, there was a limitless cap on industrial.
Yeah, that was strictly for retail, yeah.
Yeah.
So the 110 is for retail, correct?
Being raised for retail, yeah, that's the.
So, yeah, that is my question, when you've got all of these businesses that are moving out of the Big Y Plaza, I don't know if you've gone down there after dark. It's pretty dark right now with all of the lights out, and there's only 4 businesses there now. With Arbishan's moving, so there'll be 3. What,
Arbishan's moving too?
they're
Yeah.
gonna be going to Laidlaw.
Student
So the bus company.
So if.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
too.
it is, 'cause
I
you're gonna
just,
have lumber from what.
it's gonna be nice, they're
lumber
gonna
yard.
put in a nice place in the garden shop and the whole bit, and they're using an old building. But my question would be to the commission, what makes you think that if the Big Y Plaza can't support businesses coming in, why building a brand new one will support businesses coming in?
And not only that, but what do you, she's right.
I believe we need another
what-
grocery store in Stafford.
What does, what
Yes,
does this, what does
that's,
this
and that's
commission,
it, so we're looking to do that.
what does this commission think that they're going to gain by raising that cap?
Just that businesses don't automatically reject Stafford as a place to come.
What businesses?
Any businesses.
No, that's
How many
not,
of
that's
you-
not
I'll say
any
a
business,
Target.
though, that's
I don't
only
know.
for
How many
big
have
box
you spoken to
retail.
in the past
I
year?
think that there's a
Dysler's?
perception that business is
That's too
always
close.
retail,
They're not gonna take the bait.
and that's a bad
Aldi's and
perception.
Trader Joe's, I've talked to them.
Whenever I hear anybody talk
Neither
about
was Trader
businesses,
Joe.
they always talk about retail. I
Too
don't know
low.
about you, but I worked in businesses, other kinds of businesses. And I don't understand what's supposed to be gained by this.
No, I don't either.
And the
I
reason
really
why
don't.
is because,
What,
you know, you can have a 1,000,000 square foot manufacturing plant in this town. All you have to do is get it approved on a special use permit. This cap has nothing to do with those.
well,
kind
why
of
is there
businesses.
a cap?
Pardon?
Why is there a cap?
Why is
So Walmart doesn't come in?
Was that the whole design for it?
The cap was put on when Walmart tried to come to town.
They
One
wanted
of
to
the
put in
reasons
a
why the cap
200
was put on a
square
40,000
foot superstore.
square foot is because Walmart wanted to come to town with a 175,000, 200,000 square foot building. And what they did in New Jersey was, there's a town in New Jersey, I can't remember the name of it now, that had a request from Walmart to come to town. And they changed their zoning regulations to 75,000 square feet. And what Walmart did, instead of putting in a 175,000 square foot store, they came in and put a group of 75,000 square foot stores there. So they did exactly what they were going to do, except they just went around the zoning regulations that those people put in place. The zoning regulations that were put in place at that time was to prevent that. So that hopefully people would catch on and try to bring living wage jobs to town with businesses that pay living wage jobs. That's why that was all done. But that never, nobody ever pursued going in another direction. No, nobody did. I mean, after that, it was, I don't know what happens in this town, but things get put on the shelf and they just collect dust. That's what it was about.
That's kind of a challenge to you guys, is to bring living wage businesses that don't cost us. Retail stores cost us in traffic, cost us in potential police support, cost us in potential crime situations and so on. Whereas a manufactured business, which we've been kind of losing, like, or warehousing businesses like Milikowski's, for instance, and others, they generally have people come and they park their cars and they go to work. And we get a nice tax base out of it without a whole lot of expense to us other than maybe a sewer connection. So
When you,
that, yeah, go ahead.
when you open this up to those kind of, all these retail businesses that you could collect around 190 because of lifting of this cap, all the studies show that, and I've read 11 studies from across this entire country, and almost every one of them right to the, right to the T, they almost come up with the exact same conclusions, is that those businesses cost you more, for the most part, in services than you collect in taxes. I talked to a town planner in Vernon, and fast food restaurants are particularly bad for this. for it costing more in services than they collect in taxes. And there was one particular, fast food restaurant that she mentioned down on, Route 30. And they were collecting at that time, something in the neighborhood of, trying to think, I think it was $8,000 in taxes. But it was costing them $13,000 to have that store in it, because we did a study on it. I think you have to be really careful about how you develop and how, what
Well, that's
types of
why
things you try
there's
to
three
do.
commissions, it's not just the EPC that's pulling that cart.
You know, I mean,
and it's
I don't
it's
know
about
any of,
everybody putting in, you know, and it's not about going all one way, it's about kind of finding the medium road to go and to build and develop. I think everybody in Stafford is entitled to the right to be able to shop in their own community for the things they need in their home.
I don't
We like
disagree,
supporting it
I don't
already.
disagree, but the thing you have to be
And we're-
careful of,
they're not,
the thing you have to be careful of
they're not.
is when you lift that cap, that you bring in these larger big box stores that chase her
There's-
out of business.
No, it wouldn't chase her out of
Oh,
business. She
so
has
wait a
a
minute.
specialty store,
She's
and
a
those
specialty
that
store. I'm
like.
saying, I'm not using her particularly, I mean,
Use
me.
stores like her, the Main
That's
Street
my-
people on, the people.
I'm
the
gonna go
stores
to
that
her
you're
store,
trying to
whether
get-
there's a